Are you talking? You're on mute. You might need to reboot. You're frozen, man. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Pride and Chaos. I am one of your co-hosts, Nick, from Proud New York Jets fans. With me is Jets Chaos, who might be having a little bit of difficulty right now. But we want to welcome you. We have some questions. You have some questions. Will Zach Wilson be enough? Is AROD not done? Look ahead to the Cowboys. We're going to do a game review, a little film session. We're going to have the scout team here. Look ahead. We're going to have the coaches presser at 9 o'clock. That's the biggest portion of the show from 9 to 9:40, where you guys control the show. Save all your questions for that time. And don't forget, if you want to jump the line and you want to get that question on the air, the super chat is always a good way to support the channel. Support us. Help us to get more light to put on my co-host here. Help him build the studio the way he likes. And just say thank you for what we do here. So, the super chats get on immediately. So, Jeremy, are you good? Are you working? Are you up and normal? No, he is still frozen. Jeremy, if you can hear me, why don't you come out and come back in? Because you're frozen, bro. I've always wanted to take his channel over. So let's start off before we get into everything. As you know, we had a very eventful week in Jets world. Twisted, the first one here. It's peanut butter and hot dog night. Get your spoons ready. Yeah, we're here. We're here. Sorry for the delay. New York Jets super fan here. Eric Craig. Jets mantra. Hello, Jeremy. Are you alive? You good?
I don't know. I'm still struggling here.
I hear you, but you're dragging.
Okay, I'm going to try to connect to my phone.
Mark, I love it. I love the mentality, Mark. I love the movie. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. Touchdown, the peanut butter. Tony Alexio is here. Mark, there's cricket in the basement in the unfinished area that I cannot get to yet. I just ordered a trap today. It'll be here on Monday. So I'm sorry. I'll try to rattle some things to scare it every so often if it gets bad, but I'm honestly used to it after the last 48 hours. I tried to get to him. I saw him, but he shot under the hot water heater, and I couldn't do anything. I apologize. Christopher Carl's here from Proud New York Jet Fans Facebook group. What's up, buddy? Vinny C's here. So let's get into it. Jerry, you good? Are you alive? All right, I'll keep carrying it for now. What's up, Todd? Welcome. So we're going to give you guys a breakdown of the show. We got a new format. We got a timed format. I'm going to start for 10 minutes with the opening, the welcome. 8:10 to 8:30, we're going to do the session called Game Film. Review the game, what we did well and where we can improve. From 8:30 to 8:50, the scout team. That's a look ahead at the Cowboys. From 8:50 to 9, the turnover. What could go wrong if we don't end up winning this game? Where did they exploit us? From 9 to 9:40, like I mentioned, that's the coach's presser. That's for you guys. That's where you dominate the show.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
From 9:40 to 10, we're going to have some bonus game film with Dom C. From 10 to 10 to 10:10, which is fun to say. It looks a lot better in writing. Taking a knee, the recap, the plugs. And then if we got a big crowd going and you guys are still having fun and engaged, maybe we'll go into some overtime. So let's get into it, Jer. Give me your Rodgers eulogy.
Look, it's really hard to juggle emotions that are so opposite one another and to have to do it live in front of people. Because I like to at least have the opportunity to punch a wall, curse, be upset, but I can't do that in front of 800 people, when I'm live on a stream with 800 people watching. And it was rough because it's like part of me, I know it's important we win the game, so critical. And it's like, just because, like, even though I had a feeling he was gone, we can't just give up. I'm not going to wave the white flag. We still have great players. You still have to just get behind the team that we have. And it was such an important game because, let's be honest, and it won't even be his fault. The Dallas Cowboys, as far as we can tell, based on that opening week, they have a very special defense. They're a problem for anyone. They're a problem. And I hope that we can come up with a game plan to deal with it. And I hope everyone understands Zach's not coming out and throwing 350, and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys. He's just not. So if he puts up 160 yards and completes 63% of his passes and we win the game 13-10, be freaking happy with him. Don't criticize and say, well, he didn't do it. No. In this game, we just need him to keep us alive, not make mistakes, make some plays when he has to, but don't expect so much from him. And just, if we can keep us in this game and give our defense a chance and our running game a chance, our special teams a chance, and we escape this week with a victory against the Cowboys, I will be very happy with Zach Wilson, no matter what his performance. And I mean that.
Sorry, I was changing some audio settings to try to reduce the background noise with this pesky little damn cricket. I had myself on mute when you're talking. Pretend you're outside in the woods. Football is an outdoor sport. Pretend you're outdoors watching a practice, and then you hear crickets chirping. It's nighttime anyway. I'm the only one with a cricket near their house in the world. Anyway, it's sad. It's disappointing, but it's football. Everyone takes the risk of getting hurt. Every single player will go through an injury in their career, some multiple. What are you going to do? Are you going to cry about it? We're Jets fans. We're built for adversity. If there's a single fan base in the country of any sport that's built to sustain this, it's us. You're not going to hear me cry. You're not going to hear me pout. You're not going to hear me point fingers. You're not going to hear me attack players, coaches, whoever. It's not my style. It's not why I'm a fan of this sport. It's not why I engage in this sport. It's not why I love talking it every day to everyone and anyone that I can.
You know why?
Does it suck?
You know why, yes. Nick? You know why? Because Santa Claus is coming to town.
Santa Claus is gone, baby. We got fresh little baby face here now. People think you got a new co-host again. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is a huge piece of this team. We said last year, if we had competent quarterback play with this defense and this running game, we would be good. We were 5-2 with Hall and Vera Tucker. They got hurt and our offense went to shit because we had no identity. Newsflash, our identity's back. Did you see Breece Hall? Did you see what this kid is capable of on 10 freaking carries, 11 touches, 147 yards? This kid might win the rushing title on limited carries. That's how special Breece Hall is. This is his offense. We're going to go as Breece Hall goes this year.
He's very, very special talent. We've been saying it. The only question was, will he be healthy? We just saw, even if he's not 100%, because he's got a little bit more speed to catch up, that he still hasn't hit yet. Who cares? He looks pretty damn good to me. Tony Alexio, thank you so much for the super chat. Sadly, the curse of the coin toss by Vinny Testaverde. Hopefully our defense will overcome for us. And that's the attitude you have to have, is hopefully the defense and Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and the other weapons we have will come through for us.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Yeah, you saw the Achilles torch get passed for 24 years later from Vinny at midfield over to Rodgers. Just can't bring Rodgers out 24 years from now to do it to the next quarterback. So, yeah, we'll get into the game. Rodgers did say today he shall rise again. He's been very vocal about saying that when he got traded here, it would be a disservice for him to not play multiple seasons. He's very competitive. He wants to stick it to everybody. He will do what he can to get back, and I'm excited to see it.
And I want
We
everybody
waited
to
all
know,
off season. Everything we talked about, everything we envisioned from April 24th on was about seeing him with Garrett Wilson, and it was absolutely heartbreaking to see what Garrett Wilson said.
I want everyone to also to hear this. This wasn't something he had to think about. He knew instantly that he was coming back. Yeah, the day after on Tuesday, I have an inside source. This is real. I'm not joking around. Inside source. The day after, when everybody showed up at the facility, a lot of people were down and negative. They got a message from Aaron Rodgers. The one thing he told them is, I'm definitely back. My career's not ending like this. He knew it right away. That was his immediate thought process. And I believe if you look at his career and you look at what that man accomplished, believe me, he'll be back. And a year from now, he will be back. Go on. You were talking about Garrett Wilson, what he said and how he reacted.
Yeah, when Garrett Wilson went up to him, gave him a hug, and Rodgers just said, "Sorry, kid." How does that not tug at your heartstrings, right? How does that not just rip your guts out? But a testament to our team that we have built. All the excitement, the 9/11 ceremony, Rodgers running out, that stadium was fucking rocking. And then it totally got deflated like a pin bursted a balloon, right? Kudos to our team for not giving up. I said this to you yesterday. Sometimes it's a blessing to be young and dumb, right? You don't know how big something is. Sometimes it's a blessing to be inexperienced. You look at this team, you look at the way, kudos to the coaching staff, man, for pulling this team together, rallying them, and having them come out at the second half ready to play. Down 13-3, quarterback change, fans deflated, fans crying in the stands. And this defense, even with Rodgers, this defense was the best part and is the best part of the New York Jets. And you saw that. All of us, what did we want, Jer? Want more turnovers? Check. 4 of them. You want to get to the quarterback with 4? Check. 5 sacks. Do you know how many pressures we had as a team on a 4-man rush majority of the night? 25. That's absurd. If it's anybody else but Josh Allen, we probably have 8, 9, or maybe 10 sacks. If that's a Dak Prescott with that pass rush, probably 7, 8 sacks. Yeah. Not many guys can get out of there. It was very inspiring to see how this D-line plays. Robert Saleh said since the moment he was hired, we will go as this D-line goes. Said it after the Halloween win against the Bengals that one year when they made the big stop. Quinnen had to stop on 4th down. We will go as this D-line goes. This season is not over. Zach shows some improvement, and hey, give it up for Zach. Throws a pick. Old Zach Wilson, Jer, head down, bummed out, domino effect of negativity, turnover after turnover, bad play after bad play. It wouldn't stop. Good throws to Garrett Wilson. The touchdown pass was a little off, but Wilson adjusted on it. That's a ball where you just let your guy go make a play. You let an elite player outplay the other guy, right? And that's what you saw. You saw some play. He's got to play to Lazard. Lazard had a nice little catch and run. You know, the screen pass to Breece Hall, scampers 20 yards. And all of this with a game plan that wasn't built for Zach Wilson. So when you look at this team, Listen, Sauce was off a little bit. Sauce wasn't Sauce that we saw last year. DJ Reed stepped up big towards the end with a tip pass to stop a drive. And how can we not mention Xavier Gibson? We watched him on Hard Knocks. We rooted for this kid to make the team, Jer. And what does he do? I think you said on one of our afternoon shows that we were doing on my channel, Monday Night Football, 9/11, Rodgers' debut. How is this kid going to be on the big stage? And then you said on Twitter, take one to the house on 9/11. And the kid did the Mariano Rivera, and he sent that stadium into an emotional frenzy. I had tears in my eyes as I was screaming, go, go, go. Great call by Joe Buck. Great television call by Joe Buck.
Yeah.
He said what we were all thinking. I don't see any flags. He turns on the Jets. Great call by Joe Buck. And Baba Shusin is first class on the radio. What a dynamic, explosive way to end the game, man.
It's amazing.
That's my little game film review. What do you got?
It's amazing within moments what can go and register through your head. Because first I said, like, when I saw it, I said, oh, you have some space, Xavier. And then when he took off, when I saw him, like, the yard lines, when he hit around the 30, I was like, field goal range, right? And then he gets to the 20, and I'm like, okay, now it's an easy field goal. Then he gets to the 10, I go, now it's a chip. But the whole time I'm thinking, I'm celebrating in the background of myself, thinking field goal, but I'm also thinking, don't leave it up to a field goal. Like, please get in. And when he bounced into the end zone, I mean, I just lost it. I haven't felt that kind of joy in a really long time. I mean, the Garrett Wilson catch was great. There were moments in that game, the Breece Hall. But, man, that was one of the greatest moments. That was, like, right up there, even better than the Cleveland. Remember the Cleveland game when we came back with the 10 down? I don't know, man. That's like instantly, and it instantly goes into my top 5 moments as a Jet fan. And maybe it was more emotional because of what happened to Aaron Rodgers.
It was a compilation of the evening, right? It was a compilation of months. It was a compilation of, listen, a lot of people, and DFF, we want to thank you for the super chat. We appreciate the support. Guys, don't forget, from 9 to 9:40 is the coach's presser, where we'll take all your questions. The super chats are a good way to cut the line and get your comment up on the screen immediately and help support us with the channel. I think we do. I think we have a chance in every game with this defense. You win the turnover battle. You win the running game. I said for weeks, Jared, we run for 140 yards. There's no way we're losing this game. We did that.
If someone was to ask me how we could, and we'll talk about this later, but let's remember, just as we're dreading going up against their defense, I don't think Dak Prescott's that freaking good, and they have to go against us and our freaking defense. So we'll talk more about that later, but just keep that in mind. And for that, I will say absolutely we have at least a 20% chance to win, because we got a championship level defense and a hell of a freaking running back.
Yeah. So when you look at what the Jets did, getting after the quarterback, forcing a quarterback. Thank you. Give me 1 minute. When you look at what they did, forcing pressure, forcing mistakes, creating turnovers, newsflash, Dak Prescott led the league, tied for the league in interceptions last year, and he missed 5 games, Jer. So if you don't think that this secondary is feasting on this, if you don't think that they're waiting to get their hands on the ball, they can do it now. Everyone wanted more turnovers from last year. Kudos to Whitehead. If he got 3 interceptions for the season, he got a $250,000 bonus. He did it in 1 half. Basically, right? He did it in like 30 minutes of football. He locked in a $250,000 bonus. So we're elite. We're up there. We're dominant on defense.
I think it's like time to take this opportunity to remind people, because all I heard all offseason was Whitehead's horrible, he's horrible, he's horrible. Salah didn't agree. Salah said, look, he missed some tackles, yes. He goes, but we're not understanding what's happening, and that's it back there all game long. And he's doing his job. And Salah even said, he would have been the premier if he wouldn't have dropped a couple of those interceptions. And it's funny that he said that, because you almost kind of think that it motivated Whitehead to get some picks. But the thing that everybody did not pay attention to, and everybody refused to listen to, was second year in the system. Salah said it because I'm excited about his second year in the system. So
give me 5 minutes and I'll be back.
Oh, sorry.
Give me 5 minutes.
Okay. So everybody's got to stop judging players right away, instantly, and just take a chill pill. Because Whitehead, he wasn't all bad last year. It was because we're remembering missed tackles. It was a problem. I agree. I said it myself. But that doesn't mean it was bad. Nobody thinks that he was bad. None of the coaches, none of the people that matter said he was bad. And now he has this great game, and everybody's going to say they love him. It was like, well, remember that with every other player. Like, remember that with all the players. Like, if a player has a bad game, or if a player even has a down season his first year they're on our team, if they're a rookie, anything like that, just remember, you can't just completely judge a player in a season, even a season when they're a rookie, or even a veteran when it's like their first year in a new system. Like, give them a chance. You want to worry about something? Worry about Laken Tomlinson. Now, we still have to look at the tape. We still have to look at the film, right? I don't know for sure. I know there were a couple plays where it was very ugly, but overall, I don't know. So we have to look at how he played, because there was a lot of good runs. And when there's good runs, that comes with some good blocking. That means there was some good blocking. So we have to figure out who that was, right? I know that Becton had a play where he knocked 2 Buffalo Bills on top of each other. So that was pretty impressive. So also I want to say, before anybody goes crazy, because I heard a lot of people online, JD didn't build us an offensive line. We got 5 sacks. They got 3 sacks. They have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL also. Okay? But we got 5 sacks and they got 3 sacks. So if anybody needs to run and panic and find offensive linemen, maybe that's Buffalo's GM. Sacks happen. They gave up 3 sacks. It happens. Buffalo Bills are going to get 3 sacks or more against a lot of teams this season. Rodgers getting hurt has nothing to do with that. Don't blame one offensive lineman. Don't blame the offensive line. Don't, because sacks happen. It's part of the game. If you want to blame the turf, if you want to blame bad luck, that we're cursed, do all of that. But it's not the offensive lineman's fault what happens after they're sacked. Every offensive lineman is going to give up some sacks. The play that the quarterback gets hurt, you can't look at the offensive lineman and say, it's your fault. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. You cannot do that. That's bad fandom. That's not supportive. Don't point fingers and blame. It's okay that Buffalo got some sacks. That was normal. That happens. They have a great defensive line. They have stud players. Everyone knew that kid was going to have a breakout year. He's just like with Jermaine Johnson having a breakout year. Everyone knew it. If you're paying attention to anything else other than Jet Media around the league, you'll know that this was predicted for this kid. They knew he was going to be really good. So guess what? That means he's going to beat good players, sometimes win rep against other good players. When Mekhi Becton is going against the freaking stud, he's going to lose some reps. But guess what? That doesn't mean he had a bad game. It's all about how many reps did he win. Because I've seen guys get dominated where they cannot stop a player. And you have to stick another guy up there, and it's out of control the game. That's not what happened. But if your expectation is that our offensive lineman, that any offensive tackle has to be perfect versus a star defensive edge or a very talented defensive edge, you're just wrong. That's not how football works. Go into the box scores of every football game. Every team almost gets sacks. It's part of the game. Teams get sacks. So stop blaming people. Stop saying it's their fault or this fault. Because I'm seeing the nonsense. Knobcraft, you're wrong. What you're telling the world is I don't know about football. Because the offensive line was not trash. The offensive line did not have that bad of a game. We were playing the Buffalo Bills. They have a great defensive line. It's probably going to be proven that our offensive line did better than most teams are going to do by the end of the year. I promise you there are going to be offensive lines that look very bad against the Buffalo Bills. We gave up 3 sacks. We ran for 170 yards. Stop attacking our offensive line. You want Dwayne Brown there as much as anyone else, so stop the nonsense.
Can I chime in on that?
Yes.
There are going to be a lot of fans that don't agree with this. There are going to be a lot of fans who may jump down my throat right now when I say it. The injury is Aaron Rodgers' fault. And here's why. When you look at the play, there's a shot from the end zone and there's a shot from the 50-line camera. Knob, I'll put it up in the Proud New York Jets fan group. When you do a cut block, it's supposed to be a 3-step drop and release. You're cut blocking that guy on the outside to open up that quick passing lane. Garrett Wilson was open. Rodgers didn't throw it. That's all it comes down to. Knob, I'll text you the picture right now and you can see it. The cut block was designed to open up the passing lane to Wilson. Wilson was open. Rodgers held on to the ball. He took his eyes off of Wilson, looked at the D end. As experienced as Aaron Rodgers is, he's not very experienced with tackles cut blocking. They don't do that. They didn't do that in Green Bay. So
I could show you so many highlights of where the pass protection was good too. Zach's interception, the pass protection was good. And you're going to remember the plays where the pass protection broke down. Oh my God, it's the Buffalo Bills. That's what they do. You have to get ready for that. It's going to look like that against Dallas too. Do you think the pass protection is going to be amazing all day versus Dallas? No, it's not. It's not. No team is going to give perfect pass protection against Dallas. I mean, do people watch football? Watch every game of football. Sometimes the defensive line wins. That's just part of the NFL.
Yeah. Knob, I just sent it to you on Facebook Messenger. It's the image from behind Rodgers on the on-field camera that shows Wilson open. The safety 7-8 yards back. He beats the corner on the end, and the second image is from the 50-yard line, showing you could draw a straight line from Rodgers to Wilson. He should have thrown it. Listen, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. You know, we saw Kevin Durant.
He did his job.
We saw Kevin Durant suffer a calf injury a few years ago when he was with the Warriors, and then his Achilles ruptured because it wasn't fully healed. We know Rodgers had – well, Mark, that I'll agree with, Mark. I see your comment in the chat, Keith Carter, bullshit, dumb blocks. You could say that. But there's people trying to shit on Brown or Becton because Becton had a cut block later that Garrett Wilson had to run around from. The whole point of the cut block is to release the ball in a second and a half or less. You can't hold it. So –
yeah,
you can say that you don't like cut blocks, Mark, and I agree with that. But you can't shit on Billy. I see you too. The pass protection wasn't good nearly the whole game. But we also have an inexperienced quarterback who didn't get all the week 1 reps and didn't get all the reps through training camp with this system.
But it's
Zach has been guilty of holding the ball too long. You got to design a system to get the ball out of his hands.
But it's statistically not true. Statistically,
I know.
They gave time. Like, he's wrong. He's just remembering plays where there was pressure. That happens in every football game for every team. The statistics say that our pass protection was okay. When you average it out, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was okay. And it was against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah. But guys, again, in the chat, I see a lot of the comments about it. Dwayne Brown is not doing that cut block on his own. That is part of the play design. Dwayne Brown just doesn't cut block without Rodgers knowing he's cut blocking. You could say the cut block wasn't the best cut block. I'll agree with that. But the play call was for the cut block to open up the passing lane. So unfortunately, we have to live with what happened. And I hate to say this with how much I love Rodgers, this falls on him and not getting the ball out on time.
Well, that play did.
No.
That play did. He didn't get rid of it in time, and you can't blame the offensive lineman for the play call. And it's not the first time that this offensive coordinator has called those plays with cut blocks, and it's not we're not the only team that does it. It's just a design play, especially when you have a short. Everybody cried that Zach Wilson was short, right? Well, that's one way to help them have good vision of the player by doing a cut block.
100%.
It's part of it.
100%. You're right.
I mean, it's just part of football. It's like, it sucks that he got hurt, but he didn't get hurt because of anybody's fault other than bad luck. I mean, yes, Rodgers should have thrown the ball, but every quarterback's going to have plays where they should have thrown the ball and didn't. Him getting hurt doesn't connect to that. Him getting hurt just sucks. It just sucks.
And it does. But let's be positive with this too. If there's any city in the world that loves a comeback story, our team plays in it. From where Zach was, what he could potentially do with this team, because this roster is a Super Bowl caliber roster. Yes, it took a hit with the chances. But if you have an elite defense, which we do, you have a defense that can hit the quarterback, which we do. You have a defense that can take the ball away, which we do. You have an elite special teams unit, which we do. Shout out to Greg Zuerlein for not missing a goddamn kick. Gibson with the return. Not one kick return by the other team. Everything was out of the end zone or into the end zone. The special teams made a difference. Special teams won the goddamn game in the end.
Yeah.
This defense gives us a chance every week, Jeff. This run game gives us a chance every week. When Breece Hall gets his legs back and he's in game shape, because you hear it all the time in sports, right? There's a difference from being in shape and being in game shape. And Breece Hall will get there where he doesn't get caught on the 96-yard run, and he's running like he did in Denver, running away from people at 50 yards instead of getting caught. It's very, very there's a lot of bright spots on this team still, guys.
Yeah. Look, Greg Zuerlein continues to do everything we've asked of him and more. Like, he's been great. Our punter did not have a muff. Hey, it's a miracle. There was no muff. You know, it's nice to have that again, where we don't have to have every fifth punt muffed. So, I mean, like, it was, you know, and obviously special teams won the game with Xavier. And guess what? That wasn't an accident. They found an undrafted free agent, and they played him all preseason as a punt returner, and they kept him on the team. It was all just like great coaching, great developing of him, great general manager for finding him. I mean, that was manufactured by our organization, by what the Jets are. We found this player that nobody else found, and now we have this weapon. And it's not shocking, is it? I mean, if you watched him in preseason, it's not a surprise. It really isn't. I said, as soon as he was getting the punt, I said, find some space, Xavier, because it was like, we knew he could do it. We knew he was a dangerous punt returner. That was a true team win. You have a quarterback come into the game. The game plan wasn't made for him. He didn't take the first team snaps all week. He had to come into a high-pressure situation, Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. He threw an interception, like you said earlier. He recovered. And everyone wants to remember the bad passes. You know, the pass, a lot of us, and I'm guilty too, called the pass where Garrett Wilson had to turn around and go to the ground and get it before the touchdown, a bad pass. It wasn't. Now I watched it again, and I listened to the announcers that I don't get to listen to, and they were right. He couldn't have thrown the ball anywhere else. There were two defenders on the other side of Wilson. He had to throw it back, and I'll give Wilson a chance to come back for that ball. There was no way to throw it to him because that was risking an interception. He did the right thing. And he had so many wonderful throws. Nobody is paying attention to that. He had some beautiful passes to Lazard. He was executing on all the short passes.
Yeah.
And people just want to be negative against this kid. Why can't we just root for him and support him? I'm not saying he's a star, but let's just get behind him and support him.
Yeah. Agreed. When Zach got the ball out on time, shit looked really good, dude.
Yeah.
Pass to Lazard, the one to Wilson, which is a designed play to have him sit down so he's not crushed by the safety or the cornerback retreating. That's a design, get to the spot, and I'm going to hit you, and you go low to the ground.
Yeah.
The touchdown pass, listen, it's a jump ball. And when Zach gets more repetition running that with Garrett Wilson, because Zach was running with the twos all summer, right? I think there was one day in OTAs he was running with the ones when Aaron had the calf. But when you look at, it's going to get better. That's a good sign. We've heard for years, and Aaron Rodgers said it throughout Hard Knocks and throughout One Jet Drive. Paul Hackett, Jesus. Hackett is an outstanding teacher of the game. You couldn't do it with Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson's dog shit. Do it with Zach Wilson. Prove everybody wrong. Make Zach Wilson into an average or slightly above average quarterback. Get him to Jimmy G level. Get him to a Derek Carr level where he's confident in the system and he can make all the throws. We know he's got the arm talent, Jer. We know he's got the arm talent. He just needs this to match the arm, and you're going to have a killer back there.
And even the throw in the end zone, right? Even the jump ball in the end zone. There may have been a tiny bit bigger window where that could have been a better throw, right? But now you're really grasping at straws. If you really watch where Garrett Wilson was standing in that play, there wasn't much, there was very few places to throw that without it being out of bounds. There was no real place to throw that. The guy was on Garrett Wilson. Maybe it could have been a tiny bit higher, and to pick on that is insane. I mean, because now you're talking about pinpoint accuracy in a high pressure situation. The point is, and I hope Zach Wilson learned this, when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson, just get the ball to the vicinity. Just give him
a chance. Give him a chance. And they'll learn the depths. They'll talk, they'll communicate. My favorite part of the game off the field, aside from the crowd energy, was after the touchdown, Wilson and Wilson connecting with one another. We all remember Garrett Wilson being vocal last year about Zach and showing some displeasure in New England. I think Garrett Wilson has grown tremendously since then. I hope Zach Wilson has grown tremendously since then. Why can't these guys be great together? That was the plan, right? Why can't they? If I'm them, I'm out there every day. There's no off days for me this year. You give us a day off, I'm Zach. Guys, let's get in. Offensive coordinator, let's get film room. Let's run some extra routes. Let's put in the extra work because we didn't have that time in training camp together. I wasn't the number one guy then, but I'm the number one guy now.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're probably wrong.
Okay. But let's see if you agree with this or if you noticed this. Was it just me, or was Garrett Wilson looking like a 10-year veteran out there coaching Zach Wilson on the sideline? Like when he went up to him after the interception, you could see what he was doing. He was encouraging him. He was telling him to get back in the game, to not let it hold him back. Then later on, then after the touchdown, even you could see what he was saying. He was saying, see, just give me a chance. Don't be afraid to throw me the ball. That's what he's saying. He's helping him. He's a second-year player, and he's our leader. Garrett Wilson stepped up as a leader of our team when Rodgers went down.
Dude, it's kind of wild that the Jets decided to stick with Zach, bring in Rodgers, and in game one, we're back to Zach.
Amazing.
It would be one of the wildest New York stories of all time.
It would be amazing.
I mean, our roster is good enough. Our defense could be the best in the league. 3 points in the second half to the Buffalo Bills, and those 3 points weren't until the final drive where they had to. So let's move on. You know, we reviewed the game a lot. We spent a little more time on it than we expected to because, you know, it was a big game. It was a big win. The division rival. We're 1-0 in the division. We're 1-0 in the AFC. Now we go against the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. Dallas Cowboys played a team from New York that gave up the other day. You're not going to see that this week. If we didn't give up when Aaron Rodgers got carted off the goddamn field, we're not giving up now. We're not giving up ever. This team will not quit. This coaching staff will not allow them to quit. They do some things well. They do a lot of things well that we do. Giants receivers are dog shit. There was no separation with the Giants receivers Sunday night. The pass rush, they couldn't block anybody. It was over before it started.
Yeah, but
we run the ball better. Go ahead.
No question. I just want to say, I mean, they don't scare me offensively, the Dallas Cowboys. They just don't. But man, Micah Parsons and that defense, man, it's going to be a battle.
I got to rotate this table. Give me a second.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be a battle. There's no easy. Just like we're very difficult just like we're always going to be a difficult game because of our defense. That's Dallas also. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and this game is going to come down to turnovers. Dak Prescott turns the ball over a lot, Jeremy. Dak Prescott forces things when they're not going well. He panics. He presses. Zach Prescott, because he turns into Zach very often. He's been more successful as a passer, but in terms of forcing things and committing turnovers and bonehead plays, he's up there. So this defense, if we could get some of those, and score touchdowns off of them, we can get a sack fumble and score. We can get a pick and score. We got to score this week.
And I agree.
I'm curious to see.
I was saying, I'm sorry. I was just agreeing with the chat. They're saying run the ball, and I agree 100% run the ball. But it's not that simple. You have to have some threat of a passing game.
Yeah, you have to, and it's got to come to the point where you're going to have one-on-one with Wilson, and you're going to have to hit him on a play action, double move, and take a shot. If Diggs is on him, Diggs falls for double moves all the time because he tries to jump routes. If it's a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, or second down, bring in Bawden. Show that you're going to run. Let them creep that safety up and hit bomb. You got to do it to keep the defense honest. We saw last year when Hall and AVT went out, there was 8-9 guys in the box continuously, no safeties. And Zach was shit scared. This is where Nathaniel Hackett has to coach him up. This is where they got to get on the same page. Listen, Hackett and Rodgers weren't always on the same page together. There was a learning curve. There was a coaching process. There was a teaching. There was a cohesion that had to take place. That happens. It's going to happen this year. They're going to have a lot of reps together. You know, this wasn't week 12 this happened. It's early. It's early enough where they can make a big difference. You know, and I'll be real. If we're going to lose games early, I'd rather it be Dallas and Philly, teams that are in the NFC, because it doesn't affect us with playoff tiebreakers. Not that I want to lose, but don't lose your minds if this game doesn't go our way, right? Like, this game is a very tough matchup on the road. Even with Rodgers, this is going to be a tough place to go win. So this is a very good team.
Yeah. I mean, look at their record last year. That's not,
than me.
It's hard to win in this league. Look at their record last year. People could make excuses for a team. Oh, this, that schedule. No. We should know more than any other fan in the NFL. It is not easy to win games in this league. The NFL is very difficult league to win games. Even when you play the weaker teams, it's not always easy to win games because they're playing hard and they're professionals and they're coming for you every week. So Dallas Cowboys need to be respected because they won a lot of games last year. And 40-0, yes, part of it was the Giants imploding, but part of it was them coming out fired up and ready to play. Like you can, this cannot be denied. So it's never one thing. Like, oh yeah, Giants offensive line was trash. Yeah, but Dallas's defensive line, it's not like they stunk last year. I mean, it's not an accident. Micah Parsons didn't come out of nowhere, people. So we're gonna have to design a very, very good game plan. And Tony Alexia, Nick's gonna read your comment. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Why would you put me on the spot? I told you privately I can't read. Why would you do that to me?
I'm sorry. He's saying we love.
Okay, Tony Alexio says heart.
He's saying
we love the whitehead. He said that's all I could read was the heart. The rest is all.
We love the whitehead we love the whitehead triple play. And
Gibson. Yeah,
triple
we
play,
saw him on Hard Knocks. We were told he was going to be impactful, and he was. Man, I'm so happy for that kid. I'm so happy he had that moment. I'm so happy for our fans. That was an amazing way to end the night, man, on a walk-off against your division rival, a team that you were told you had no chance. The ESPN reporters at halftime wrote us off. Peyton Manning was an absolute dick from everything I saw about his comments. Zach Wilson still on the team. So I love it. I love when people put their foots in their mouth and the Jets shut them up.
Yeah.
Go shock the world, Zach Wilson. Come on. So when I look at the matchup against the Cowboys, right? 12 minutes, 9 o'clock, guys, we'll have all your questions up. So you got questions ready at 9. We'll do the coach's presser. But we're going to finish looking ahead at the Cowboys here first.
You got questions.
Tony, thank you again.
But if you have a question and you don't want to wait till 9 o'clock and you want to say something that we instantly address and gets read, obviously super chats, we're never going to ignore super chat. So if for super chats, we're always going to read it right away. If we're getting lots of questions later, if you want to ask our guest later when we do the game review, anytime you want a question, remember super chats always get read. They always get read right away.
I'm sorry, Yeti. I'm trying to stay focused and not trying to get, we're trying to get more content in here. And then in the question area, we'll get all the comments up like Jeremy was just explaining. So when I look at Dallas, I think we can get to Dak. Pollard is a different runner than Cook. Pollard's got a lot of speed if Pollard gets to that corner. Shout out to Quincy Williams. Quincy had a very good game. And did anybody in the world have Quentin Jefferson leading the Jets in sacks with 2? Like, who had Quentin Jefferson on their bingo card with multiple sacks? You would have went Quentin, Lawson. You would have went JJ. You would have went Huff, McDonald.
JFM.
People with JFM. You would have picked Clemens. The only, maybe Solomon Thomas and Woods are the only 2 guys you wouldn't have picked ahead of him.
I will tell you this, though. I'll tell you this. And this is exciting because maybe it's for real. Like, maybe this is for real because Jefferson had a great camp. And maybe this system just works for him. Maybe this is what he's going to be in this system.
Yeah. Shout out to Small Heath Jet Petroleum. Thank you for the super chat. Stand tall. We'll be all right. We'll make playoffs. I agree. We get 3-3 at this bye, and then this team can really take off. I think I was hoping for 5-1 with AROD, 3-3, maybe 4-2 if we get this game, and we should be in a very, very good situation. Oh, you got that one? We hit that one already.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, that's all right. So, CeeDee Lamb is very shifty. He's a very good receiver. They got some speed. Brandon Cooks was on the injury report today for the first time. That's something worth keeping an eye on. Tyler Smith, their guard that they drafted last year in the first round, the kid that we thought was like a round 3 or 4 guy. He had a nice rookie season. And And if he's out, Quinnen Williams
Oh
could
my
have a
God.
mammoth game.
Yeah.
If they're gonna back up guard in front of him, you could be looking at a monster game from Quinnen. I
Get
think
ready.
that when
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing. I'm saying yeah.
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 When I look at what Dallas does well, they want to get their receivers downfield. They want to hit their tight ends out in the flat. Quincy Williams, Sherwood, great open field tackle for him. Quincy closed the gap on the outside and tackled someone short on a third down conversion attempt the other night. You're going to have to get out in space. You're going to have to get to Pollard. You're going to have to get to Ferguson, a tight end that we liked last year too. Not Nebraska. Wisconsin was Jay Ferguson, right? Their tight end, Jake Ferguson. I think he was Wisconsin tight end that we liked, along with Ruckert in the middle rounds. He's a guy that we drafted a lot in the mocks that we were doing together. If you can close those gaps and get to those guys, and shout out to our linebackers. One of the big question marks that we had when we did the scout team last week, looking ahead to Buffalo, and the turnover of the turnover zone that we did segment, our linebackers in space. Can we cover the tight ends? Can we cover the running backs? Can we get there? I thought they did really well. I thought Quincy played phenomenal. And that was a question mark that we had because we know he's a thumper when he gets there, but sometimes his issue's getting there, right? It's bad angles. Tony Adams had a couple plays where he took a bad angle and they were able to turn and get a couple extra yards on him. That's something that he can clean up. So
yeah,
offensively, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say to I'm not going to name him. He knows who he is. This is a really tough week for Jet fans, and I'm not going to listen to it this week. Like you could put your crap out there and you joke around, and we joke around sometimes. But right now, there are some people that truly are emotional right now that put a lot into the preparation for the season, invested a lot of money in tickets and jerseys. We're really, really excited. And this is a real thing for people. Like, there are people that are really upset about this. And this is not the time to be gloating and celebrating this and then still pretending you're a Jet fan. Like, there's nothing funny about what happened. And it's not a joke. So I'm just telling you, like, in the chat, be careful what you say because we will block you and you'll be out of here because we want everyone to have a good time. We want everyone to be in the chat and be active. We want everyone to enjoy the show and everything like that. But there's got to be limits. And right now, I just don't want people to have to endure that right now. We get that enough from Buffalo fans, from Miami fans, from New England fans. We get that from other fans, Giant fans. We get enough crap from other fans. We shouldn't be doing it to our own, we shouldn't be doing that to our own fan base. It's not okay.
Agreed. Listen, it's too early for that, man. There's a lot of football to be played. And listen, other teams are going to have some big injuries too. Not that I'm wishing it. It's just the way of the sport. There are going to be other teams that suffer injuries. And true character is revealed when adversity hits, right? And you saw the character and the culture of our team get exposed in a positive manner on Monday night. Giants quit. We watched at the same stadium 24 hours earlier. A team had adversity hit and they quit. We had adversity hit and we overcame it in remarkable fashion in the most watched ESPN Monday Night Football season premiere. People want to watch us. And you know what? They're still going to want to watch. Eventually, Rodgers will be back on the sideline. They're going to want to watch. They're going to want to see how Zach develops with Wilson there. There's still many good storylines around this team. There's still many good things about this team. Becton, congratulations. Shout out to Mekhi Becton. He's in his 4th season, and that was the first game he ever played at home in front of Jets fans. He almost ended Milano and another guy's life on that run by Dalvin Cook. Vera Tucker and Becton are going to be Pro Bowl caliber players together on that side. That was fun to watch the run that side. That was fun to watch. I can't wait to see what we do in the run game this week. I can't wait to see Becton out in space and take Micah Parsons' head off. I'm looking forward to how creative we get with the offense. I'm looking forward to see Hardman was a disappearance, right? That was a little bit of a surprise. Do you use Gibson? Do you do some let's get the ball in their hands? Do you do some bubbles? Do you do a fake bubble and send one of these guys deep? It's going to be very interesting to see the play design, the play call, and the structure. Simon, I was over at K5. I did see Johnny Ortega on the way. I was going to get an Uber to get home because I wasn't paying $285 for a ticket. A guy from my tailgate offered to get me one. It was $131 when I left the house. By the time we got to the parking lot and set up by $320, those tickets were $285, and I just told him I'll take an Uber home. I watched the first quarter outside the stadium, but I'll be there. Me and my boy will be there for the Kansas City game, and we'll try to get over there, man. I'll come see you for that game. But it's there's a lot of good matchups for us, and with Dak Prescott being a quarterback that presses against a good defense, guys, yes, we have a chance. We completely have a chance. You're giving this defense 9.5 points. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take 9.5 points. Run game. A non-division opponent. You rolled your division opponent. You're coming off that big high. And yeah, Twisted, man. It was nice meeting you, bro. Thanks for coming over. We didn't even get a picture together, man. I'm sorry, pal. Next time. So yeah, they're a favorite. They're at home. We're injured without our quarterback. I would love taking the Jets, getting 9.5. I would even debate a little bit on the money line with it plus 350. But
now I'm going to say this. I don't have a lot of respect for Dak Prescott. Now, it's just that I don't think he's very good. And one of the ways I judge a team about whether they're very good or not is whenever he gets down, when he gets hurt, it feels like they're no worse. Like Cooper Rush seemed to be just as good. And even some guy who they found from from a Home Depot, I forgot his name. Some guy came in and was still doing okay. So
Cooper Rush. His name was Cooper Rush, and he went 4-1 last year as a starter.
No. But even before that, like 2 years ago, there was a third string guy came in. Some guy came in that was literally off the junk pile, and it was like a success story. It was a Cinderella story, and he played well. But my point is, I just think he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't see what's so great about him. So
comment of the night right here. Comment of the night. It was me. Some guy. Well done, man. Very well done. Thank you for joining our chat, former NFL quarterback.
Yeah. So let's see. What is that? 42, 46?
That was good. That was well done, man.
Yeah. So anyway, I just think that we could potentially, especially you said they had problems with their offensive line. It's his injury. They're not 100%. They've had problems with their offensive line the last couple of years. Our defensive line, think about this. Our defensive line got 5 sacks yesterday against a really good team. A real, against a quarterback that's very difficult to sack. Against he's a great running quarterback. Getting 5 sacks on Josh Allen is not something to just glance over. It's a big deal. Dak Prescott is nowhere near as good as Josh Allen. There's a chance we're going to get 7-8 sacks. So I expect them to run the ball at us, but guess what? I think we've gotten really good in stopping the run.
We did. We discussed one last thing, and then we'll get into the coach's presser. I see it's 9:01, and we'll give you guys extra time.
We don't want to take away.
In closing, I'll say with this: We discussed last week with the Buffalo Bills with week 1. Take their big punch in the first half. Their big punch was only 13 points. Buffalo in the past has put in 30 on us in a half. We took that punch. We made our adjustments at halftime. And the New York Jets came out in the second half and shut them out until that final drive where they had to kick a field goal that somehow hit the upright and went in. But I'm glad it went in because Gibson got that moment to shine. Pun intended, right?
Yeah.
All right,
look,
Jet fans. Go ahead.
I'm just saying there's a lot of potential for a great story here. Whether it's Zach come in, even get us to the playoffs, and then next year Rodgers comes back and we win the Super Bowl, and it's like a movie, right? You couldn't script it any better. It comes the excitement. Movies have ups and downs. So can you imagine the heartbreak of him missing the season? Then he comes back and he leads us to a Super Bowl. Or if Zach leads us deep into the playoffs and then turns into a real quarterback and a good quarterback that could be our future. I mean, either way, no matter how you do it, it's a great story.
Imagine.
You gotta believe it.
How about a quarterback controversy where Zach Wilson leads the Jets to a Super Bowl? Rodgers comes back next year, and Wilson wins the job. A $45 million backup quarterback. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. This is your time. And Jeremy, just because with how the coaches look on the bottom, I got to put me over Ulbrich with the big gray beard and you with the bald head over Salah. Ladies and gentlemen, the chat, this is your time. This is where we go through you guys. Questions. I see Mark Riss up with one first. On Hall's big run, Garrett Wilson put his arms up to celebrate and slow down. You are 100% right. I'm sure he got ripped on film for that. You got to remember, Breece Hall doesn't get caught from behind. And I think that nobody expected that. Breece Hall ran away from people last year. And that was a little learning experience for everybody. I'm glad it didn't cost us. But, they know they got to give their all until he's in the end zone because I said it earlier in the show, Mark, and we appreciate you watching the whole time too, Mark. You're a good dude. And
they've got to make sure that he learned from it. Like, there's no better time to learn a career lesson than in a win, right? So he may have gotten off very easy because they won. So he needs to never do that again in his career. You need to play until the play is over.
Yeah. You don't celebrate 50 yards out, right?
Right.
You never know what can happen. We saw Daniel Jones trip and fall. We've seen guys bobble it. We've seen guys drop the ball to celebrate before they're in the end zone and finish the goddamn play before. So good catch, Mark. And next up we got Twisted. Sanchez got the AFC Championship twice. We know that anything is possible. Agreed. How'd they get there? Elite defense, offensive line, and a dominant run game.
Yeah.
Any updates on Lawson?
And it was a very similar thing with Sanchez than it is with Zach Wilson. Sanchez was literally just asked to be a game manager, enough that they can't put 9 guys in the box. If they start stacking the box, Zach Wilson has to be good enough to make some passes and make them pay for it, so they think twice about doing it.
Yeah. Did you see the answer for this one? Do you want to take this one or you want me to?
I heard Salah say that he expects Carl Lawson to play this week. And the only reason they didn't do it, like if it was a playoff game, he would have played. The only reason he didn't do it was with the short week and everything. Like, it didn't make sense to bring him back for 2 practices and a game and then short week. Like, it made sense to let him have the practices, take that day off, practice again, get in game shape, be ready to play. And that Sunday will be his game 1.
Yeah. I saw another one off of this. Wanted to Dallas one though. I just want to use Nick Borden to help in blocking. I think you might see that a little more.
They did. They used him a little bit.
Yeah, they did. We one play or two plays down inside the 5-yard line. The 1 4th down we went for, Zach kept it because it was that close, but there'll be times where you see him. And shout out to Jeremy Ruckert, who was fantastic blocking. The way Ruckert blocked, don't be surprised if Bawden doesn't dress for one of these games, because Ruckert can be used in that fashion. Ruckert was amazing as a blocker.
Ruckert is.
We get down to 3rd and goal from the 1 or 2. I wouldn't be surprised if Bawden comes in and they do one of those plays where you fake it, play action, and hit the fullback out in the flat wide open. So it's coming. We just got to get there. We didn't get to the 2-yard line at all. The Wilson play was for what, 4 to 5?
Yeah, and I want to say Ruckert is another guy that I don't think we talk about enough, because he's not a receiving tight end yet, because they have that. But keep your eyes on Ruckert. So far, his passing is like an A. I give him an A on his blocking. I'm sorry, not his blocking.
Yeah.
His blocking is like an A right now. He is really, really, really looking good as a blocking tight end.
I wouldn't be surprised to answer this question, GVH, if it's McDonald or even Lawson. Lawson got some reps at defensive end, and I think those were Lawson's reps. Clemens got those reps, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of them. Hall should be out. With Eccles coming back. Hall, shout out to Hall on the punt return. Hall did a very good job getting downfield and blocking the final block. Good hustle by him on that play.
Yeah, if there's a defensive lineman that's not going to suit up, sadly, it's going to be McDonald.
Yeah. Here's a good question, Jay. You want this one?
Cole, could Sanchez be our backup?
I mean, he still looks good, man. God bless him. He looks amazing.
He looks good.
He had a great tweet the other night. Did you see his tweet the other night? It was the best tweet of the night.
Yes, Josh Allen and the fumble.
Josh Allen ran into the back of his teammate and fumbled. ... Weird. Here we go. Here's a good one. Here you go, Jared. Do we get more Sherwood with Pollard playing? Sherwood showed up, or more 2 linebacker sets?
Yeah, I think that's going to change. I think that's going to change each week based on what they're doing. So that's actually a really good question. That's good analysis, GVH. I think that there's a very good chance we'll see more of him because of that. Because Josh Allen, they're not going to stop trying to pass, right? And we're not going to stop defending the pass with Stephon Diggs and everything. But when we start to crush Prescott, which we will, when he starts to fall apart, and they're desperate because it will be a close game because their defense is strong also. When they start running more, I believe you'll see Sherwood more.
Yeah, he was good. Trying to get all these in here. Hank G coming in. What's up, Hank? So now that Rodgers is down, do we postpone our hunt for another wide receiver? I think to be determined. You can make the argument either way that now you need another weapon. Hardman didn't get in. We expected some nice things out of Hardman. He barely played. You can make the argument that we need it more that we have Zach. We have another guy that we can rely upon to get open. Or you could say we'll wait to the offseason. So you can see, I think it's too early to tell. There's still 7-8 weeks to the trade deadline. We're at 4-2 at the bye. We win these games with Zach. I wouldn't be surprised we make a move. We're 3-3 and we lost these games by a total of 7, 8, 9 points. I wouldn't be surprised we make a move.
I will say this: Zach Wilson looked real comfortable in the preseason throwing the ball to Xavier Gibson, and he likes to do dump off passes and short passes sometimes as a second read. I trust Gibson with the ball. If you can get him the ball, dump it off to him, and he has any amount of space, that's exactly a weapon that we could use. But I think I'm going to go with the Joe Douglas answer and just say, if there's an opportunity to make the team better, he's going to do it if the price is right.
Yeah. I agree, Mark. I've said several times, I'm sure you've heard me, that I think the Jets somewhat have buyer's remorse with signing 2 tight ends last year. If you see Ruckert blocking the way he is, Uzoma is almost He's a great locker room guy, but not what we expected. Did you see the speed of Rucker on Brees Hallberg? Yeah. He blew that. I think he hit the safety and knocked him on his ass, and then kept running.
This guy named Jack me off.
Why do I have to subscribe to give you shit? Why aren't you subscribed yet? That's the bigger question. I guess he wants the super chat and he has to subscribe to it. So go ahead. It takes 2 seconds. You're watching the show anyway.
Hold it. Who do I have to subscribe to give you shit? Why do I have to subscribe to give you shit? Does it hurt you to subscribe? Like, I didn't know it was such an inconvenience to hit the subscribe button. I mean, we're sitting here working our tails off to entertain everybody. The least you could do is hit subscribe.
Do you know how hard it is for me to make Jeremy look entertaining? Do you know the weight that I got to carry on my shoulders? And shout out to producer JR. He's away this week. That's why I wouldn't have the intro video. He forgot to upload it. He drove up for the Jet game Monday, left work at 12, drove up for the game, lives down by Washington, D.C. Him and his son I met. They came over to say hello, drove back down, and had to get on a flight to go to Charleston for 2 weeks for work, and he was unable to upload the video. He forgot with everything he had going on. So our opening video should be back next week. But shout out to him. Safe travels down there, man. Hope that hurricane don't hit. What do you think the Jets' general strategy is against Dallas? It's, you know what? You're going back. You're going to look at the 2009 and the 2010 Jets. Run the ball. Don't turn the ball over. Opportunistic throws when it presents himself. Defense, field possession, special teams, capitalizing and outplaying their special teams. You know, we're back to that blueprint. It's that's who we are right now. We have that elite defense that can do it, Billy. And that's what we're going to see. There's going to be a lot of nail biters. We might win on a field goal, lose on a field goal. 16-13 games might be common with this defense. They're going to have to play. I know Reed joked about it. They're going to have to play like the 85 Bears a lot of weeks. They're going to have to be the 2000 Ravens. Let Jamal Lewis, Brees Hall be Jamal Lewis. Put the load on his shoulders and go from there. Yeah, Billy, hold on. I'll get to you, mess. Use Whitehead as a receiver. I got to admit, Josh Allen to Whitehead looked like Montana to Rice in the 80s. That was a really good connect. It looked like Tom Brady to Randy Moss throwing bombs downfield. Mess. What happened to Hardman? Jer, you want this one? I don't have an answer for it. It was very surprising.
I mean, Salah just said that they had plays for him to be in there, but things changed when Zach came in. And I think when Zach came in, they went to a lot of 2 wide receiver sets. They went to a lot of 2-2s or 1-2 and 2 receivers. So that didn't give a lot of room for him to get into the game. But he would have been in the game if Rodgers hadn't been hurt. But they had to kind of make adjustments with Zach, and they didn't use a lot of 3-4 wide receiver sets. That's not his game. So that was how Salah explained it. So now give them time to get him into the game plan with Zach. And I think one of the things, what that would mean in my mind is I think you'll see some running back sweeps or not wide receiver sweeps and things like that, because that is more of a what they do with Zach. Like we've seen that before to help him as they do wide receiver sweeps. So keep your eye on that. So we'll see. But I wouldn't read into it too much. It was just the game kind of changed direction, and he just got overlooked.
Here's another question for you. Are you in Green Bean's Discord? I sent some videos from the game in there today from David Gerard. Dave, thank you for watching.
Oh, I'm not in Green Bean's Discord anymore because of this show. Because we do this show earlier now, so it's like harder to fit it in. So I really don't have the time to be part of it. So I'm not really part of it anymore, but I'm still like on Green Bean's channel for the Jet games, just not in the Discord.
Yeah, and that was fun. I checked you guys out a little bit the other day. As I told you, I get too intense. I don't have a voice. I watched from 9 minutes to almost like the 2-minute warning, I was in the Uber on the way home watching it. And then I was in the basement for the whole second half, and I was screaming like a lunatic by myself. And like my voice, I just went over the football field here in Port Reading to help out for a little bit. One of the teams, they got some inexperienced coaches, so they called me over. And I went, and when I was trying to raise my voice, it got all scratchy, and then it was bad. It was not good. But well, Hackett teach Zach to scramble forward. I think you got to put in some play designs. You got to move the pocket. You got to do some bootlegs. You got to do some waggles. You got to use strengths that Zach has, and his mobility is a strength. You're not going to circle around and get away from Parsons. It's going to be a 13-yard loss or worse, or a fumble. You got to move the pocket. You got to create some favorable opportunities for us. You got to create and design some mismatches. Yeah, it's I'm very curious to see the game plan that Hackett comes up with. Twisted, the Jets doing anything for outstanding weekly players? I know this isn't college, but damn, we had many players put some work in. Yes. I wonder if they change the captain, if they add a third captain with Rodgers out for the season as the captain. But weekly, they had 3 captains. Rodgers for the offense, Mosley for the defense, Hardy for special teams, and the coaches were going to vote a 4th captain in every week. That may be by performance from the week before, maybe by practice during the week. I don't know the parameters of it, but that's something. I know Whitehead won AFC Player of the Week on defense, and Gibson won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. And Gibson is up for Pepsi Rookie of the Week. So get on the NFL site and vote for him.
Yeah, I think that if Zach wins a couple of games and plays better, you might see him. No, don't show us. Don't show us. No.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm going through.
Get off of it. Get off of it.
That's what she said.
The chat as a group, I'm not going to ban him for life, but I'm not going to highlight his chats because.
Got you. I didn't know you were talking. I didn't know who you were talking about before. I apologize. Who would you put if you want to throw to Gibson? Who you put on the side? Listen, wide receivers rotate, right? Mess. It's not one guy, one route. You have scheme, you have play design, you have certain players you put in for certain situations. Throwing to Gibson or giving him a play or two, an opportunity to create a wide receiver screen, a bubble. I've said it. He reminds me of Santana Moss with his size, his agility. You saw his agility the other day. It's electric. He wasn't a first-round draft pick like Moss was. I think Moss was 17 or 18 overall in the first round for Miami in 2000. But when you look at not 2000, 2001, I believe, 1 or 2.
We line up multiple.
You'll have design for him.
Yeah, we line up multiple wide receivers. They rotate. I mean, last year Mims came in sometimes, and Barrios came in, and Elijah Moore played, and Corey Davis played, and Garrett Wilson played. I mean, you rotate different wide receivers into the game. Sometimes you just, they were doing that all game. On Monday, they were taking out Cobb, and they were putting in Lazard. They were rotating Lazard and Cobb a lot, during the game on Monday. So, yeah, it's just like a play, like, maybe with Lazard and Wilson are out there, and then you throw Hardman and you go with one tight end and one running back in the backfield. Or, there's lots of different scenarios and rotations where you could get Hardman in there for some plays, or Gibson. It's going to be hard for Gibson to get in there because a lot of the plays that Gibson would run are the plays that are designed for Hardman. And obviously we brought Hardman in for a reason. So
yeah, and not to get too far off topic, but we know how much Jeremy loves a hard man. Anyway, when you look at the play designs, that's where the creativity comes in, finding ways to get these guys the ball. To answer the Hardman thing, we ran a lot of multiple tight end sets after Rodgers went out. So those spreads looks kind of went away. So that probably answers that. Yeti, we searched for backup QB. Can't rely on Zach not getting hurt, but I wouldn't look any further. Why not get another receiver in this scenario? Jeremy kind of answered this earlier on another question. Joe Douglas is going to do everything and anything he can to improve this team, right? He said it all the time. We're always going to look to improve our team. So I think that I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. I think Joe Douglas, if it's right for the team, then Joe Douglas will do it. I think you got to see how the team looks if you're going to give up future investments. I mean, the only positive to come out of Rodgers getting hurt is we keep our number one next year. So I don't think any of us expect to be top 10. I expect to be in the mid-teens, pushing right for a playoff spot, the mid to late teens. It's a good spot to get another receiver to put next to Wilson. It's another place to get a lineman. Or if Zach doesn't do well, you can move up and use some other collateral to maybe get one of these quarterbacks. So I think it's Joe Douglas is going to do what's best for the team. If the team starts to win, yeah, we'll add someone else. We use that salary. Oh, thank you, Jack me up. I appreciate it. I always appreciate if someone jack me up. I have to. You change your name. Jay said you changed your channel name too much.
I'm never changing it from Jet Chaos again. So it's Jet's Chaos forever. So it's not negotiable ever again.
Nice. We love the Jets Chaos with Chaos Package Entertainment. Yeah, it's fun here.
There was a question from Grandizer.
Was it? Did I miss it, or did I not get to it yet? I'm a little behind.
Okay.
I don't think I got to it yet. I'm working. We're gonna have to do. I don't know how far behind I am with where I'm at, but we're gonna have to do like some speed answers.
Okay.
Just to get all these questions in. Fun with every team this guy out there. Yeah, he's making all the calls, but he's not going to compromise the Jets or the future for a mid-level quarterback and get robbed. He's not going to get raked over the coals. It's not his style. We're just going to shore up the defensive midfield. The blueprint appears to be to work the safeties and linebackers. How do they fix that? I think you saw the fix in the second half. I think they made some nice adjustments, Knob. I didn't have the All-22 film. We should have a guest in a little bit that this would be a very good question to bring up to him.
And we held the Bills.
I'm going to start this one, Jeremy.
We held the Bills to 16 points. Yeah, start it. We held the Bills to 16 points with Zach Wilson, having to switch to our number 2 quarterback. We had a lot of 1, 2, 3 and outs for a while until he settled in, and we still only gave up 16 points. I want to say to the Bills, to a team that puts up 40 burgers on other teams, that often goes into the 30s. And there's always going to be a part of the field you give up too, by the way. Like there's no such thing as a defense that gives up nothing. Like either you're going to risk big plays or you're going to leave a little part of the middle field and it gets the third down and then you try to get off the field. That's just the way football is. I mean, there's no way you can't just shut teams down. Like every team in football that's ever had a number 1 defense still gave up points. Like there's going to be you're not going to have a perfect defense that never gives up points.
Yeah. And shout out to Knob for that picture.
Yeah.
He had on a Jets sweatsuit outfit the other day. That was phenomenal. And I felt bad. As soon as you guys walked away, Knob, the downpour started. The downpour came down. Simon saw producer JR and his son Monday. Yeah, they came over to me and the same thing. They got out before those clouds rolled in. Let's see what we got here. Flacco says he's in game shape. Flacco, don't forget, it's a different system than what we had with LaFleur. So Flacco doesn't know it. If you see anybody that we pick up, it's probably somebody who's got experience in the Hackett-Shanahan system. That would be my take. I don't see them, and they speak highly of Boyle. They do. They speak highly of Boyle as the backup. So,
but he didn't shy away from the fact in the press conference. He said, "We're not rushing. We have 2 guys that we believe in. We believe in Zach." But he didn't say we're not looking. Like he was saying, we might not
No.
rush to that. And then he said it would take time. So he talked as if they are going to be in the market, like they are going to look.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to give or pay a big price. I think they're looking for a backup quarterback to Zach Wilson.
Yeah. And that coincides with what I was saying before. Joe D's going to make improvements, but he's not going to get raked over the coals, you know?
Right. Yeah, we're going to sign someone who's out there looking for a job. Most likely.
JD is working. Absolutely. I don't know who you're referring to here. If you're referring to Zach, if you're referring to Joe, I'm a little behind with the chat comments, guys, getting them up. I don't know. Jeremy, if you can get current in the chat and see if he clarifies this, we'll come back to it, and I'll stay behind in the chat, getting all the comments up.
Okay.
Oh, these are good. Wilson to Sanchez role. I'm never gonna be sold on him. Even that touchdown had nothing to do with Zach. That was all Garrett. Yeah, but David, you got to admit, Zach made a great throw. That he made a good throw to Wilson the play before to get us down there. You know, that was big. Wilson found a spot to sit down in the zone, and Zach delivered it low. It's safe, where he didn't get blown up with a big hit.
He's just asking if we trust Zach, I think.
Belichick, let's do his jobs. Mess says, the play has to stack the box. Go ahead. With Lazard and Wilson now, go ahead. They got to make plays. There's going to be some jump balls. These guys got to come down with them, or they got to outrun people. Go ahead. You got to set something up where you take that pressure off of Zach, and you got to open up the run game for Brees. You got to be able to find a way, whether it's play action, rolling the pocket, tight ends in the flat. You got to do some sort of play design to open it up. It's the best 2 games I've ever been to in my life. Yeah. That's
Yeah, how can it not be?
That's gotta be the best game. I don't know. We haven't had a playoff game. That's
So
gotta be the.
So what do you do with the people? Do you just eat edibles? Like, because I doubt that he just, like, in the middle of the game, like from his seat, like takes a backpack and pulls out a bong or something. So he must eat it, right? Because he's not capable of being, like, he has to be stoned at all moments. I don't know if you know that about him.
Nice. Jared, go ahead. Take this one. Do you think we'll see Rodgers on the sideline helping the team later in the season?
Yeah. I think that, I don't know when. I don't know it depends on the schedule of his surgery and, how it's going to look and be. But when he's allowed on crutches or whatever it is, and I think, and it might not be so much, like, it might take some time for the game, but I think he's going to be in the facility a lot. I think he's going to do a lot of his rehab in the facility. I think he's going to be in the meeting rooms a lot. I think he's going to be in the quarterback room all the time. Yeah, that's what I think. I think he's passionate about this team. He's going to want to help this team grow and do everything he can to help the team succeed. So next year when he comes back, he has a team that's even better than the team that he walked onto this year.
Yeah, I don't see him going into the darkness. I don't see him going to California. I see as soon as he's able to get up, he'll be there. There are a handful of viable backups out there, knowing the big names, just someone competent and wants active play. I agree, Eddie. I think you'll see it, but like I said, he doesn't. Oh, do you trust him? It comes with coaching. Get the ball out, know your hot read. Being the main guy now, he'll get all the reps, and you'll see a nice chance for growth with him. 0 pocket presence that cannot be taught. I think that a lot of players can be coached, can develop, and can change some things. Not everybody is Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. Those are all-time greats. And as he gets the reps and as he knows the play calls and as he knows the blocking protections, he should know where the pressure will be coming from, and he's got to know to get that out quick. I expect Conklin to have a big role going forward. Go ahead.
I want to point out that Zach has improved his pocket presence. There was a lot of plays from Monday that we'd never seen from him where he stayed in the pocket. A lot. Key play to Lazard. There was some really good plays where he stayed in the pocket. So we're watching the improvement. We're watching him change. He's not running for his life every play anymore. He still does sometimes, but he's not doing it every play. There were more plays that I've ever seen from him where he stays in the pocket, and that happened on Monday.
Yeah. All right. So if they decide to go with another captain since Rodgers is out, Uzoma, MC, or another, I think Tomlinson was it 2 years ago. I think Tomlinson was a captain on the line. I think AVT. I think AVT gets it. Maybe Garrett. Garrett is shown to be a little bit of a leader, and his leadership the other day on the sideline with Zach. To be interested if they even do it, or they just do it by community.
Yeah, we'll see. There it
Part
is.
of the fake news suggested Jets will call to the Rams to ask about Stratford, and Baba Booey to you both and your wonderful viewers too. Baba Booey, Baba Booey,
Baba Booey. I don't think that.
Hey, both. Jeremy, hey, both. You want to take this question, both?
I'll take this, both. I just don't see us. First of all, why would the Rams trade Stafford? They're already 1-0. They beat a divisional rival, in Seattle. They have no reason to trade. They're not looking to tank. They don't care about draft picks. That's not how they build. They're not going to tank on purpose. So it wouldn't make any sense for them to trade Stafford. It would make zero sense. They're also what we would have to give up for Stafford would be insane. It would kill. I mean, really. I mean, how many? You just can't. You can't just throw everything away for the future. You can't do that. We're going to still.
And what are you going to do next year?
Yeah, we're going to need
next year.
Linemen. So
you're not going to have a 1 or a 2 next year, and you're going to have Stafford and Rodgers on the same team with those contracts. It doesn't make sense to go that big.
They're not going to go for Stafford. They're not going to. There's no way they would. And they couldn't even handle the contract if they did. So money wise, they couldn't handle it. There's no way they could pay Stafford. Yeah. So.
And shout out to Salah today. Salah said my line.
Yeah.
This isn't Madden.
Yeah.
This isn't Madden. Like, you just don't get players and turn the salary cap off and have Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford as your quarterback room. Like, there's – I know it sounds good. This isn't at you, Grandizer, but there's salary cap. There's implications. We only have $8-9 million available. Like, it's – and then you got to look long-term. Now you have both of these guys on the roster. I doubt it. If one of them was on a 1-year deal, yes, but they're not. Look great Sunday. I don't think they'll regret letting him walk. He's in a very elite passing attack where the play design is for Tua to hit the first read. When Tua has to go through progressions, Tua will throw an interception. I called it the other day. Tua was on fire. First read open. First read open. He had to go through progressions, and before he even released it, I said interception. And my buddy who's a Charger fan goes, how the hell did you know? I go, he had to go through the progressions, and that's when he fucks up. That's when his timing's off.
Well, I mean, look, going back to Berrios, we know he's a good player. Like, we know Berrios is a good player. You can't always hold on to all your good players. We decided we needed the $6 million more. And, and now we have like an Xavier Gibson and a McCole Hardman. And Xavier Gibson, Berrios' replacement and punt returner, just won us the game. Nobody is wishing we had Berrios back. No matter how good he is for you, we're not wishing we had Berrios, because if we had Berrios, we wouldn't have Xavier Gibson. And I don't think it's very realistic to sit there and say that Berrios would have returned that punt for a touchdown. So we already got a win because of our decision to keep Gibson.
He would have fair caught it. He would have been too scared for the moment. He would have fair caught it.
It doesn't mean that Berrios is bad. 2 years ago, he did very well for us. We know that he has talent. He's going to make some nice plays for Miami. There's no doubt about that. But, not every player you give away, do you give away with the belief that they're never going to do anything well. Like when we gave Berrios to Miami, when we let him go and he signed with Miami, I knew that there were going to be games where Berrios does good things because that's who Berrios is. But he's not a star. But he might have some good clutch plays for you. It's just that's what it is. But we moved on because he wasn't the best fit for us for that money. Yeah. That's all.
All right, we got to hit the speed round. If Zach wins this one playoff, what happens next year? It's Rodgers' team. It's Rodgers' team, no matter what. Guys in the chat, I'm scanning for question marks to get through everything. If you put a question in, it didn't have a question mark, I apologize. Just going forward, throw a question mark.
There he is.
Yeah, he said. Well, you know when there's a coach's presser, right? There's usually 3 coaches. There's the head coach, there's a defensive coordinator, and there's an offensive coordinator. And then sometimes we got to bring in the third guy. You ready?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ready back there, coach?
I would like to welcome.
All right, I got you. Give a thumbs up when you're ready.
I'll introduce him. I'd like to welcome special guest to come in and help us with. He could still help answer questions if we want to finish the bit, but the segment. But also, he's going to help us go over and talk about the game on Monday. Hopefully, talk about our offensive line. I hope he's prepared to do that. I know because he sent me some Twitter messages that gave me some stats on our offensive line. Just for those of you who think that they played so poorly, I'd love to get the answer from our guy, Tom C.
What's up, Jeremy? What's up, Chaos? I mean, Nick Shine?
Same thing. I'm a little chaotic myself. You know how I roll.
Yeah,
I'm going to take this off of you, our banner. That way we could see all of you and get your name out there. How you doing, pal?
I'm good, guys. You? Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, thanks for joining, man. I think it's the first time on with us on the new Pride and Chaos show. Welcome.
I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it.
So let's get right into it. Give us guys that stood out to you on film. Give us guys that really impressed. And they get the Dom C A+ grade for the New York Jets this week. Who'd you love?
Well, I'll start. I'll start on the defensive side of the ball.
My man, I know it. You know how much I love the D.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think that and I can break down. As a matter of fact, if you guys, well, I'm not going to do that much. I mean, I got the all 22 film up. If you want to look at some plays, I can do that too on the defensive side, but that's your call. I think that the defense played like top to bottom of a very good game. There was plays and positions and reps that were less than desirable. But some of the guys that stood out quietly, well, one not so quietly, two not so quietly. I think that the head and shoulders on the defensive team were both of the Williams brothers. I think Quinnen and Quincy both had outstanding games. Quincy especially, just because he did a lot of the stuff that we've been dogging on him for a lot last year. Like, he was always a feast or famine kind of player. He's going to make a big hit or he's going to, make a big mistake. And I think in those opportunities and those reps where in the past he might have made mistakes, I think he really stepped up and took the bull by the horns and made a lot of key plays, a lot of big hits, a lot of smart, assessing the situation, smart reads, being faster than the guy who he was up against. I mean, I think I counted 3 third down stops on Quincy Williams tackles alone. No missed tackles. And plus the one pass defense, which was could have been a clear touchdown to James Cook, the little out and up swing pass in the corner where, he got out there and the makeup speed and turned around and got his hand up right at the right time. So I think Quincy Williams, we lost Jeremy.
He might be trying to do something. I booted him. He's not welcome on this channel.
I think Quincy Williams.
And then what you're saying about Quincy coincides with what I said earlier. He looked faster. He looked smarter. He took better angles. He looked more alert. and we know he could thump when he gets there.
Mhm.
And now he's smarter and quicker getting there, which is really scary for the opposition, right?
Yeah, he
And
played
good for us.
like I said, he played a really really good game. I thought he was I thought he stood out probably more so than the rest because it was a different Quincy Williams. I think, like you said, whether it was in coverage, whether it was in zone, there wasn't that one big blow up play or anything like that he had. He was just very very consistent. I thought Quinnen had another fabulous game. I think Quinnen Williams was Quinnen Williams, and when he plays to the level that we now expect him to play. There's very few teams you have to game plan for Quinnen Williams. I mean, a man
stop. That run stop when he was 4 or 5 yards deep. Holy
there's nobody at 306 pounds that should be that fast.
Yeah,
they're just not like that. The get off that he has, the strength that he carries, the strength that he carries in his upper body to manhandle the offensive lineman, the get off that he has that he creates with the lower body, and his quick first step. I mean, he's almost unstoppable. But what I loved about
to quote Michael Clemens, he's fit for a non-skinny person.
Yeah. what I love about Quinnen Williams most, I think, in this game is that him and Amos also. He's another guy that I thought played very well.
Let's say the name.
Adrian Amos.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought both of those guys played exceptionally well, but both Quinnen and Amos did a lot of the things that aren't going to show up in the stat sheet. That aren't going to fill those, they're not stat lines, but they're just really, really good, smart, heady defensive plays. Quinnen, for one, on JJ sack. Remember when Jermaine Johnson got his sack?
Yeah. Quinnen drove up and JJ swooped around.
It was part perfect scheme. The Jets ran a 3 deep zone blitz where they showed man, but dropped back into a 3 deep set and blitzed Michael Carter on the outside and Quinnen Williams from the inside. The only thing he did, he wasn't trying to get at Josh Allen. He was trying to get across the face of the tackle. And that just opened up, it opened up, it opened everything up for Jermaine Johnson to just make a play. Really, the guard had to decide, am I going to block Jermaine Johnson or am I going to block Michael Carter? Because they're coming unabated. He had to choose. Josh Allen chose for him. Josh Allen saw Michael Carter coming, felt Michael Carter coming. He steps up, and boom. He steps up to a hole that Josh Allen is twisting right around into. Or Jermaine Johnson, excuse me. Twisting right around too. But that play was really made by Quincy by getting across the face of the tackle and occupying the guy and now forcing the guard to make a decision. Which way you're going to block, left or right? Adrian Amos, same thing. Amos played almost predominantly as a Sam linebacker, as a sub package linebacker. That was his role. They went heavy, or they went 12 or 22 personnel. They took Michael Carter out and they put Amos in. Amos had more reps at linebacker than Sherwood did, as a matter of fact.
It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's just what the scheme was, And if it's a traditional if it's traditional 12 personnel or 21 personnel, where you got a true big blocking tight end in there, maybe you see more Sherwood, but Buffalo uses that big personnel 2 tight ends to pass more often than they do to run.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have Amos, who's just he's got better coverage skills than Jamian Sherwood out there. And we did
a really
well.
good job containing them. You watch Buffalo play against other teams, and Knox is catching balls 30, 35 yards downfield. Like they like to get him the ball downfield. And now Kincaid, who I think will be much, much better. We saw little glimpses of him, but it was a lot of catch, get to him right away, or catch and he went down.
Well,
there
very,
wasn't a
very
lot of downfield, right?
No, well, that's very, very Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich-esque. Is that they're not going to let up their defense is predicated on not letting up the big play, right? They'll let you get the swing pass or the 2 yards downfield, and then they're going to close in and tackle and keep it to a short gain. That's their defense. Bend and don't break. But Amos did a lot of the dirty work, man. Amos was the one, like I said, and like I talked about Quinnen, these guys are buying in. These guys buy into the system. They're not all out there trying to make the sacks and trying to make the plays and trying to make the big tackles. They're out there, doing their role, doing their part. Amos, for instance, on the one, there was a little swing pass in the first quarter to Sherwood. They lined up Sherwood in the backfield, motioned him out, and it was a quick swing pass with a fullback out there blocking. And Gilliam, the Buffalo fullback, he's a big boy. He's a great blocker. And Amos does exactly what he's supposed to do. He runs. He doesn't worry about Sherwood or Sherfield with the ball. He runs and he takes on the blocker head on and forces the run inside. Right? Because guess what? He forces the run inside, and he got C.J. Mosley and Quincy there to clean up the wreckage. Yeah.
Hey, Dom, take this question. Knobcraft asked this earlier, and we thought it would be perfect for you to take on, and you're kind of on this as is. So go ahead, field this one.
Are the Jets going to shore up the defensive midfield? The blueprint appears to be there to work the safeties and linebackers. How do they fix that? So I don't know, Knob, if it's necessarily something that is a weakness. I guess any team, there's going to be one area or position that is the weakest. I will say this, and I said this to both of you guys, I think in our group text. CJ Mosley is probably the smartest guy on the field. He's probably also one of the slowest. So that's something. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm scheming a way to try to get the linebackers, in man coverage or in an area where I can have my quicker, shorter, shiftier guys, kind of in their zone or in locked in man with them. I think that's how I would attack the Jets defense. Now, the Jets combated that. I think the Jets understand that might be a weakness as well. That's why they had a third safety on the field a lot of the time. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question for you, Knob.
I thought they played well too. I mean, I think there's this belief out there that there's a way to cover the whole field and never give up yardage and never give up first downs or points. And it's just like, I don't know where this imaginary team in this fantasy world is, like a magic defense that never gives up first downs and never gives up touchdowns sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that the performance of our defense was outstanding. Do you know that after getting over the shock of the Aaron Rodgers injury and not being able to do much on offense and putting our defense out there the entire first half, they held pretty good. The only touchdown Buffalo scored was a phantom touchdown. It should have been a field goal. It was bullshit. He was past the line of scrimmage. The ball was past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but the rule of it is, I hear what you're saying, and this is questionable. It can be argued either way. But the rule is that as long as any part of your body is behind or on the line of scrimmage, you're good.
Yeah.
And his foot, you can make an argument, was there. Now, in real time, I don't know how you're making that determination. He looked like he was way ahead of the line of scrimmage, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But even so, that that was what, 7 or 8 seconds. You can't ask any player, I don't care who they are, you can't ask Jesus Christ himself to stick a guy like glue at the NFL level for 7 or 8 seconds.
Right. It's impossible. But more importantly,
I'm surprised we never even got a pylon camera view. I thought that's what these pylon camera views at the first down marker were for, is so that you could look at a play like this to see where the ball is, to see if his foot passed.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we didn't get that view and that they didn't fully review it and slow that down and see. That's a scoring play. I mean, we lose a game on that. That's rough. That's the whole purpose
just getting back
of that camera.
I just want to get back to my point because I don't want to get stuck on that play because we won the game anyway. But my point really was that after that controversial touchdown, right? After they took the forward momentum bullshit, our touchdown away from us, whether you agree with the call or not, the rule, I don't know about it, how I feel about it, because I feel like if Josh Allen would have fell forward 3 yards because he didn't stop fighting, they would have given him the yards. But anyway, all of that aside, after they scored that touchdown, they had 13 points at the end of the first half.
Mhm.
The rest of the game, we won the rest of the game 19-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of it has to do with this the scheme that the confusion of Josh Allen that Jeff Ulbrich did. They showed sets and they showed coverages and they played defense. Sometimes they just came up and said, hey, we're going to match a hat on a hat. And if you beat us, so be it. And a lot of the times they had Josh Allen confused on what was going on. They're showing one look. They're playing another look. They for instance, they did on 2 separate occasions. No, the JJ sack being one of them, they showed a cover 3 zone blitz. They used that play 6 times all season last year. They did it twice in one game this time, in down and distances where the Jets predominantly run man. They went, and Buffalo was, they were keen to it. They put a guy in motion across the field to see if Michael Carter or the slot corner was going to travel with him, which he did. And that keys off man, right? That keys off man. The Jordan Whitehead 3rd interception was the same thing. They dragged the defender across the field, shows man coverage. All the Jets did was this. They just adjusted their zone. Everyone worked in unison, right? The Jets were one step ahead in making Josh Allen think all game long, and you get a guy like that. He's as talented as they come. I'm not knocking. I'm not downplaying Josh Allen. I think he's an excellent quarterback. But if there's anything that you can say that you'd like to see him improve on, it's continue. If I'm a Buffalo fan or if I'm a Buffalo coach, I want the Josh Allen of the first half where he just took what the defense was giving him. He's 19 for 21 in the first half. 19 for 21. Nothing was really downfield, and there was no big shots. He was taking what the defense gave him, and it got to a point where he started to get that, that hero thing, that YOLO ball. You only live once. Let's make a play. And every time he tried to do that, the Jets were one step ahead, and the Jets were better. So those 3 guys in particular, I thought were very good. I thought Bryce Huff in limited action did what Bryce Huff does. He's a hard matchup for any tackle one-on-one. He's just so quick off the ball, to get off the ball. He sets his guys up. He uses his hands. He knows how to rush the passer.
Do you think they play JFM and JJ more because it was Josh Allen and they're better at setting the edges?
No, I don't. I think that they played JJ more. I think JFM played, the same amount of reps that he would. I think JJ played a little bit more because there was no loss in there. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily think it was all about setting edges. I think, on their run, on the Jets run fits, they brought in. That's when they brought in Michael Clemens, and that's when they, bumped JFM outside, and so they had their personnel for the run fits. They saw a lot of. I don't think he saw a lot of snaps. Oh my God, who's the defensive tackle? Why am I drawing a blank? The big guy, huh? Solly was awful.
Woods.
I thought, yeah, Woods. Exactly. Woods got, you could tell the personnel when the Jets were expecting run fits. You can tell the personnel because they had Clemens on the edge and they had those guys up in the middle. I just thought, like I said, I thought that the Jets scheme was one step ahead of Josh Allen the whole game defensively. The defensive line played exactly like the defensive line played. JFM was, I thought, through the game, I'd probably say he was good. There was hot and cold. There was definitely some rushes where he got washed out and caused caused the pocket to open up and let Josh Allen scramble and do what Josh Allen does. I think he can tighten that up. Solly Thomas really didn't, in the reps that I watched of him, he really was a non-factor, like literally a non-factor, like did nothing. He might as well have played with 10 guys. The defensive backs.
A good message I saw. Jordan Whitehead is on pace for 51 interceptions. Brees Hall is on pace for 2,154 rushing yards.
Yeah. Now, Jordan Whitehead played a great game. Great game. But Jordan Whitehead also didn't do anything outstanding. He just played his role. He played his part. Everything else,
sometimes, right?
Everything else schemed up so that he could make a play. Like he made a nice play on the third interception.
Yes,
where he read Josh Allen's eyes. And again, that has a lot to do with the scheme because they showed man across and they dropped back into their quarters. And Josh Allen didn't, he was expecting Jordan Whitehead to be single high, but he wasn't. He was on the half. He was part of that 2 deep post. Josh Allen was so fixated on Gabe Davis on that sail route, that little corner, that he thought he could get over Sauce. Sauce baited him into throwing that, and Jordan Whitehead just read his eyes and undercut it and made the play, man.
But also,
and Gabe Davis, Troy Aikman did a fantastic job.
The second interception wasn't a give me either because the receiver had his arm in there. Like me and my brother noticed that it wasn't an easy catch because the wide receiver went on play defense on that, right, and had his arm in there, on the ball, and Whitehead.
Which one was the second one? Was that the one that was essentially a punt where he threw it?
No. The second one was the one in the end zone where he did not.
Yes. The deep shot that he took to Stephon Diggs.
That didn't look like an easy catch because the arm was there. Like he had to fight off. He had to fight for that.
Yeah. And listen, they should have had another. I mean, C.J. Mosley dropped an easy interception. If you remember, I mean, there was one where he
lunged at it and hit his shoulder pad, right?
It went right through his hands and hit his shoulder pad. Yep. Literally through his hands and hit his shoulder pad. Yep.
But the Troy Aikman did a really good job of breaking down the third interception by Whitehead and said that Davis, when he ran the post, Whitehead was playing inside containment, forcing him outside, and Davis did nothing to step in and open up Whitehead, and Whitehead was able to just break out on it without any threat of Davis taking him in the middle of the field. And like you said, he played it well. He played it smart. He was positioned perfect. Like he knew the play was coming, and that goes to preparation and scheme and design and trusting everyone else out there. Like you said, Sauce baited him into throwing it. It looked open and Whitehead cut it off. Really good game.
Because he thought, like I said, they showed man coverage and off of the pre-snap motion, Josh Allen read man coverage across, and he knew that Gabe Davis was going to be Sauce's guy. And when he saw Sauce stay shallow or stay in the flat, he's like, "Oh, I got this corner. I got this sail route all day long. All I got to do is put it over Sauce's head, and boom, undercut right there." So the defense, the defense did exactly what I thought that they would do, and that was play like a top 5 defense in the NFL. Because that's exactly what they are. And if they buy in and if they still play as an 11-man unit, they're going to be the offenses are going to be hard pressed to you're not going to see San Diego or Miami throw up 35, 39 points. You're just not going to. Not on a Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich defense.
Let me throw some numbers at you and get your thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
In a game where Diggs goes for 100 yards on 10 catches,
mm-hmm.
Josh Allen completes 29 of 41. They only outgained us by 25 yards, 314 to 289.
Yeah.
Really remarkable job by this defense of taking their best shot in the first half, making adjustments, and forcing them into a lot of mistakes later in the game. I thought halftime, listen, you give up 13 points and a half to a team like Buffalo, who's supposed to be one of these high-powered offenses, right? They put 35, 40 they'll put it on a couple teams this season. And you took their best punch, and their best punch was only 13 points, a questionable touchdown, like Jeremy mentioned. How excited should we be about the potential of this defense?
I think they're playing, at least through one game, and through what we saw in the preseason, they're exactly as advertised. They're exactly as advertised. I think that, and I'm not saying this is a homer. I'm, but I think that they're legitimately one of the 5 best defenses in the league and will rival teams for that top dog. Listen, San Francisco's has a wonderful defense. Dallas seems to be playing lights out now. Again, not a knock on the Giants, but maybe it was just like the perfect storm right there for Dallas defense. But they looked very, very good on at all facets. Against the run, the pass rush, the defensive backs, the cornerbacks played well.
And the Giants gave up. I said it earlier. The Giants gave up at a certain point.
For all the hoopla around how bad the Jets' offensive line was going to be coming into this season, watching that game on Sunday night, I thought to myself, wow, the Giants' offensive line is in a world of hurt. Especially if Andrew Thomas is hurt, which he is. He hurt his hamstring in the game, left the game, didn't practice today. Evan Neal might not even be startable at right tackle. The right guard, Glowinski's
couldn't move.
No,
he couldn't move.
Well, how did that happen? How was he so I guess guys miss. I guess.
Hey, we know that, right? We know what it means to miss on a top 5 draft pick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have YouTube. That's the only way we know, right?
But I mean, with offensive line, you felt with Evan Neal, man, that's a surprise. I thought that was such a safe pick.
Yeah. So 2 units that I think are getting dogged on a little bit from this game, and it's just my opinion, guys. So 2 units that I think are getting dogged on more than I think they should are the cornerbacks. I know Sauce let up 5, had 5 passes thrown his way and he let up 5 receptions. All right. But if you watch all 5 of those receptions, there's 0 separation. I mean, Sauce is on the guys. He could do a better job. He didn't tackle great. He missed a couple tackles and wasn't very effective as in run support. But I don't think Sauce played bad. I just think that he didn't have that outstanding one stellar pass breakup that we were so used or accustomed to doing. So he played, instead of like an elite best corner in the league, he played good. He was a couple of steps down from that. The 10 receptions, people are going to say, oh, Diggs ate him up. Diggs didn't eat him up. Sauce did not let up any big plays. Sauce let up receptions, and a lot of them, 3 of them in particular, Sauce had phenomenal coverage on them. They're just really good passes and really good plays by the receiver. And again, at the NFL, you're not going to win every rep. And I think as Jets fans, we got used to Sauce winning just about every rep. That there was going to be some regression in that sense. But I think DJ Reed played a really, really good game. Again, if there's any knock about those 2, I think that they could improve their tackling or their, I think that's where they got hurt more. But I don't think that they were bad in coverage. They let up more completions than they normally do, but they let up the completions with less than a yard worth of separation on every single rep. And sometimes you're going to win those. Sometimes the wide receivers are going to win those. It just happened to be that they all happen that way. So, but yeah, like last year at Buffalo, first game of the year, Sauce got toasted. There was that stop and go hesitation route by Stephon Diggs for a big play. You saw none of that in Sauce's game. He let up a little slant that he was in the back pocket of Diggs where Diggs gained 6 yards. And people are saying that he got toasted. I don't necessarily saw that. And the second group that I didn't think, listen, and I'm going to say this with a grain of salt because I think there's a lot of room for improvement. But I think as a unit, I think the offensive line was okay. I don't think, I'm going to say this, and I'll go position by position. And again, this is my assessment as I broke down and I watched the game live, obviously, when I was there, but I'm not really, I'm watching the game. I'm a fan when I'm at the game. I'm studying it a little bit harder when I'm home. I thought Dwayne Brown had a rough game. Dwayne Brown was rusty. There's a lot of rust that still had to be kicked off. I think as a unit, the pass blocking can improve. Mackay, he got beat with speed on the outside too many times. I think he had two penalties on holding. But Mackay was just dominant in the run game. Elijah Vera Tucker and Connor McGovern, both they let up more pressure inside than I'd like to see. McGovern especially just didn't anchor. He just doesn't have that in him. He's not built like that. He's much better in space in the run game. He's a much better run blocking center. He knows how to use his body, he knows how to get skinny, he knows how to position himself and use his hands. And when he's barreled up against big, stronger defensive linemen, he struggles. And hopefully that's where Tippmann can come in and be different than McGovern in that sense. And Laken Tomlinson, I don't think Laken Tomlinson had as bad of a game as some of his reps. I think he had some of the worst reps that were there. And again, I'm not a guy that's gonna run and lean on PFF grades, because I still don't know how their algorithm comes up with a grade. But there, he affected the game positively in the run and affected the game negatively in the pass. Now, I think that the whole pass blocking as a unit, I think that's going to take a little bit of time, because the reality is that they didn't play together, right? They didn't play together one snap in the preseason. Dwayne Brown was hurt, and Mekhi Becton was, they were just ramping him up and so on and so forth. And Elijah was out for a little bit, and Laken was out for a little bit. So the unit as a whole, that's going to take a couple weeks to kind of gel. And unfortunately, they're going to be put to the fire even more now, because you're going to see a lot of heavy boxes against a Zach Wilson led offense. You're going to see a lot of 8-man boxes. So their run blocking is going to have to be elite if they're going to if they're going to move the ground against heavy boxes, moving forward.
Yeah. Hey guys, I gotta go. I went and coached for an hour over here at the football field. They asked me to help out. I haven't had my feet elevated since 5:30, and my leg is ballooned up. Dom, thank you for joining us. Jeremy, thank you for having me co-host with you. Chat, awesome to talk to you guys. If you don't mind if I plug tomorrow, 7:00, my channel, Proud New York Jets fans, I'm going to do a show. That's going to be my weekly spot, I believe, Thursday at 7. So head on over, and once I get out here and I get my feet up, I'll throw my link in the chat. And love you both. Thank you for joining, and go Jets.
Later, Nick.
Later,
Take
guys.
care of your leg, man.
Shut up. I hate you. We didn't have a video today, so I had to add something in there. We were too nice to each other for 2 hours. Later, guys.
Later, guy. So,
I do want to point out there were a lot of plays. There were plays where it looked like that Zach did have a lot of time. So it wasn't like the catastrophe of Carolina the first half all game. It wasn't a catastrophe. No. There were a lot of plays where Zach had the right, the right amount of time to make passes and plays, and it showed. He did. He stayed in the pocket. So I just want to say, for a first game, like you're saying, they didn't play together. Playing the Buffalo Bills, who's one of the elite defensive lines or defenses in the NFL, I think it's an okay start. I mean, obviously Dallas is going to be rough. There's no question about it. But I think, and tell me if I'm crazy, I think that as the weeks go by, they might develop into a decent pass protecting offensive line.
That's the hope, man. That's the hope. Like I said, the left side of the line in straight true pass sets where there's no play action or nothing like that, where it's just a drop back, pass. The left side of the line struggled, and what's concerning is, I've been a big advocate that Laken was going to turn it around. Now, I know Laken still could turn it around, but the first game didn't really, he didn't play to the level where I expected him to play. Dwayne, I expected to be a little bit rusty. You know, he coming off the shoulder. He had no time in camp. So, and like you said, that you got to give credit where credit is due. Buffalo has a phenomenal defensive line. You know, those guys get after it. You know, Leonard Floyd, he can start on any team in the NFL. You know, probably ours included. So, they were that was a good challenge, and he needs to improve. I did think that I really liked how we looked when we brought in our heavy sets, our 12 and our 13 personnel. I thought Ruckert blocked his ass off.
Ah, man, he looks so good.
I thought he blocked his ass off, and on to the contrary, I thought CJ Uzoma looked horrible. I thought Uzoma played the worst game out of all the Jets on the field.
I think we're at the point where Rucker should just take all the reps for him.
Listen,
tight end.
I think I think we might be getting to the point where you're going to see a lot more Uzoma as your second, as your inline tight end more, or you're going to see Ruckert as your inline tight end more than Uzoma, especially in run fits and run situations.
Well, we should. We got to get like I hope they're not in the mentality of thinking, oh, who gets paid this and who's younger or older. I don't care. Ruckert has been in every opportunity he's been given, he's delivered.
Yeah. So that's what I got. I think Uzoma had a really bad game. I thought Dwayne Brown had a pretty bad game. I thought, who did I say on defense before? Oh my God.
Who had a good game?
No, a bad game.
Oh,
who's the defensive tackle there? The fourth defensive tackle.
Al Woods.
Not Al Woods, the other guy.
Ollie Thomas.
Solly, thank you. I thought Solly had a pretty bad game. Dwayne Brown. I didn't like what I saw from the receivers, but outside of Garrett Wilson and that phenomenal catch, I think they had a game plan to shut. They weren't going to let Garrett Wilson beat him. They always had help on Garrett Wilson. So you take that out of the equation, but the rest of the receiving core was very, very lackluster. Now, was that a direct reflection on Zach being in there? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I see a lot of guys in the chat talking about quarterbacks. I don't even think that's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, that's why I'm not paying much attention to it, because the reality is, no matter who they get, and I'm not saying this because I'm arguing against the thought of it. Like, I'm not going to get into the whole should Zach be the starter, or should we be going for another number one quarterback. I'm just going to talk reality. If we go out and get a quarterback, the intention is that quarterback is going to be QB2. Zach is the QB1. They're not lying. It's not a bluff. It's not a facade. They're not going to get a guy that they're going to come in and start over Zach Wilson unless he totally sucks. Unless he gets himself benched. But it's his job to lose. They're not looking for a QB1. They're looking for a QB2.
I don't even know if they're looking for a QB2. And I'm not saying it's right or I'm not saying it's the right or wrong decision.
Right.
But just the names that people have been throwing out, it's just not realistic. It's not. Right. Sure, we'd love to bring in Sam Darnold or Matt Stafford or so on and so forth, but they're not. These teams aren't going to just give them to you. You're not. Right. Minshew is a quarterback who has familiarity with his new head coach and new offensive coordinator, and he's backing up a rookie quarterback. He's as valuable as they come. Andy Dalton as well. Listen, could there be a situation? I'll answer Matt Ryan here. Could there be a situation come the bye week before the trade deadline where Carolina's completely out of it and they might just see if they can get something for Andy Dalton? Yeah. But that's going to be at week 7, week 8.
Yeah.
And you're not going to bring Andy Dalton in here and just turn the reins over to him. If anything, you bring a guy, maybe I'm not condoning it or I'm not saying we should, but I'll just use the name because it's one that's been talked about a lot. Like a guy like Carson Wentz. He's going to come in. They're going to be on the practice squad. They're going to hope to get up to speed. And for the second half of the season, they're ready that in case something goes particularly bad, that they can, come in and whether it's another injury or where they got to play, they can. But the fact is that there's no quarterback out there right here, right now that we're going to trade for this week or next week that's going to be any better than Zach. That's not me hopping on the, Zach is good bandwagon. I think Zach is what Zach is, and I'm open to anyone who asks. I think he's got he's a wonderful athlete. I think there's been some improvement in some of his mechanical stuff, but I still think that he struggles in processing and reading defenses, and that just doesn't make NFL quarterbacks. Could he improve enough to make us salvageable? I do. I think that, and the reality is that he's probably the best option right now, as we stand here on the 12th of September.
Yeah,
not ideal, not great, for sure, but that's the reality.
Look, the scariest thing about Zach is his uncertainty. It's not based on his performance on Monday. He was fine on Monday. Like, he improved, he grew. He didn't fall apart after the interception. He made some really nice passes. He wasn't great, but for a QB2, for a backup quarterback in those circumstances against Buffalo, he was fine. Enough for us, obviously, to win the game because we won the game. And he was better in the second half. And I mean, there's plenty of teams in the league that would love to get that performance out of their QB2 in that exact circumstance against Buffalo. So we just have to stick with the kid and root for him and hope that he continues to stay in the pocket and that he eliminates some of the mistakes and that he's able to get into a groove. I mean, that's really the only choice we have, don't you think?
Yeah, no, that's the reality, is that we hope that, the situation that we're in right now with the quarterback is that everything that we talked about in the whole offseason, all we needed was a guy who would be a game manager and would be a playoff team, right? And it sucks, guys. It sucks that we're in that position again. And I hear you, Matt. I don't trust Zach. I don't think Zach's going to lead us to the promised land. But what other options do we have? There's none.
Yeah, that's the problem. So when
I don't have to like the quarterback. I don't have to pretend I like him, but I'm going to root and I'm going to support him. And, you hope for the best and hope that everything else figures it out, that the running game, continues to be on the uptick. I know Brees looked great. Take away his two big runs, he still looked great. He was very shifty. He was very decisive. Doesn't look like the knee was a problem. If we can continue to establish the run as well as we could, you can't expect to bust 30 and 80-yard runs all the time. That's just not reality, But if you can get, 4 yards, 5 yards a clip, every, twice every series, then you're in good shape, You do that stuff, you're going to have, then, if you can do that stuff against heavy fronts, then there's going to be cause that gives Zach opportunity to take his shots or have his spots. But to just have, come in there with an offensive game plan that Zach's going to drop back 45 times, well, you're screwed. We're screwed.
Yeah. And Twisted, I agree 100%. We saw it. We saw it happen. We saw Garrett Wilson go up to Zach Wilson after the interception. It was very obvious what was happening. We saw him go up to him every time he hit him for a pass. Garrett Wilson is a freaking phenomenon. He is not only an amazing athlete and amazing talent, he was like a 10-year veteran out there. He was pulling Zach Wilson through that game. He was coaching Zach Wilson through that game, or just encouraging him and keeping his head in the game. And it was beautiful to see. And I want to say, I know a lot of people don't like Zach, or they don't believe in him. A lot of people just simply don't trust him. Nothing anyone could say can convince me that there is not an upside to Zach Wilson. There is incredible talent in him. We've seen it come out of him in different times sporadically. If we could, it's all about his head. If he can mentally just stay there, stay with it, get relaxed. Mike White said it best. He said, one day it just clicked. Sometimes it just clicks. So is it likely? I'm not saying that it is, but I'm a Jets fan and he's our starting quarterback. And I just have to root and hope that it happens.
Yeah. Listen, he was the number 2 pick overall for a reason. The talent is evident. Talent doesn't make you a good NFL quarterback. That and that's just my assessment of where Zach is after, whatever he is in year 2, year 3. He still has light years to go, right? Because right now he's not a good quarterback. But that's the hand that we're dealt. The Jets curse is real. This would be a completely different team with Aaron Rodgers, but that's yesterday, or that went away on Monday.
Yeah.
So now we deal with what we got.
Yeah.
I'm not one that's going to rip up my season tickets and turn off the TV and go into a hole and so on and so forth. No, I'm going to root for my team. I'm bummed, just like everyone else is. I feel like it's not fair, but the game of football is not fair. We're not the only team that's ever lost their quarterback.
Yep. It is what it is.
That's right.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's it was shocking. We couldn't believe it, but it just is what it is. It happens, and we have to be able to move on.
Yeah.
We just have to be able to move on. I'm still a Jet fan, and we have a great team. We have some amazing players, and I know you are too. And we just have to root for our team and stick with them and just move on. And I hope I was thrilled to hear when he said he was coming back next year. We knew and we believed all along. I felt from the very beginning that he wouldn't want to end his career that way. And next year we'll have that excitement all over again. And maybe this time it'll be a better outcome. But for right now, we just have to make. You know what? If we make the playoffs and lose in the playoffs, let's fight hard, root for them hard to make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs and then Rodgers comes back next year, it's a much better situation because now he's coming back to a team that proved that they're even good without him, that they're a playoff team without him.
Yeah, and I want to talk to this Matthew Ryan in the chat here. We have a wasted year. This is a win team now. It's what are you going to do? No one planned to lose Aaron Rodgers after 4 snaps. You're right. The team was built to win now. And Aaron Rodgers is gone. So I don't know. What do? Do they fold? Do they quit and say, sorry, we're not playing? No, you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to move on. I don't understand. And I'm not knocking you, dude. I don't know you like that. I'm just saying, I don't understand that mentality. Yes, we were absolutely built to win now, but the quarterback's gone. So.
Yeah. And I would love Jacoby Brissett, but why would Atlanta trade him?
They're not. He's on Brissett's on Washington. They're not trading him.
There's no way they're trading him from Washington.
No, they're starting a second-year kid in Sam Howell, and then Atlanta has who did they bring in as their backup? The quarterback, the starter from Washington last year. And they have Desmond Ridder. They're not trading
right.
And
the guy that I liked.
And Minshew's, the backup to an offense that he knows, and to behind a rookie quarterback, and they're not trading him. And Sam Darnold is backing up, Purdy, who's coming off of an arm injury on a team that's built to win now. Why would they trade him?
Yeah. And I would love these guys. I'm not arguing the thought process.
If you tell me, sorry, Jerry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but while it's fresh in my mind, if you tell me that, you weren't happy with the preparation, you weren't happy with the decision that Joe Douglas came into the offseason with just Aaron Rodgers and didn't bring in a Jacoby Brissett or a Heineke or a Minshew to have a solid backup in case, I could get with that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I could understand. I could understand that sentiment. But to say, well, we're built to win now, what are we supposed to do? Well, the next man's up. That's how the NFL works. If Zach didn't miss, this would all not be an issue, right? He would be the quarterback, and we'd all be hunky dory, and we'd never ever went down the Aaron Rodgers avenue. But that didn't work either, So they did the next best thing, and they shifted and they adjusted, and they brought in a guy who was perfect for us, our team, right here, right now. He might not be the perfect quarterback. Some say he's too old. Some say he's too much of a prima donna. Some say this. But Aaron Rodgers was the perfect guy to come into our team. So,
yeah, I mean, just sucks. But it's, but Wednesday we promised we would talk about the game that had passed, and that we would move on to the next week.
That's it.
And, like every other show and every other channel since Monday night has talked the subject to death. To me, it's like time to it's just onward and, onward.
That's it. On to Dallas, right?
On to Dallas.
And I think, like I said, I know the Jets are big underdogs. Playing in Dallas is hard. Dallas is a very good team. We talked about their elite defense. We talked about the fact that, we lost our starting quarterback. So there's a lot that's stacked up against us, but I will say this. I think our defense matches up very well with their offense. New offensive scheme, new coordinator. Mike McCarthy's calling the plays again. It's a lot, and he's calling the plays, and he's trying to set up everything for. Oh God, I don't want to say Flacco. Trying to set everything up to best suit his quarterback and his skill sets. He doesn't want Dak to take those long vertical downfield shots. He wants to set everything up a little bit more dinky and dunky and horizontal movement instead of vertical. They've established they have a really, really dangerous running back and a really good running game. And our defense matches up well against them. How will our offense match up against the defense? That's to be told. I think that's why we're 9-point underdogs.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and that's a good point, Eddie. Saleh is a Quinn disciple. From back in the Seattle days, so he knows it very well. And that's where he cut his teeth. But forget about schemes and systems. I mean, they got incredible athletes on that defensive side. We talked about wanting to get faster, and I think we did as a whole unit, 1-53. But I don't think nobody over the past couple of years has improved that part of the game as much as Dallas. They just fly around the ball, and they got guys on the outside who will make plays. They're ball hawking guys, Trayvon Diggs, and the cornerback on the other side. They got safeties that are solid. They got fast linebackers, and they got a pass rush that runs 6 and 7 deep, just like the Jets, and they get at you, And there's nobody on our team as good as Michael Parsons. And I say that as a Jet fan who absolutely adores Sauce Gardner and who absolutely adores Quentin Williams, and I don't think there's anybody on our team as good as Michael Parsons.
Yeah, he's crazy. That guy's freaking crazy.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
So
I'm having this dream that JJ is going to continue to get 1 sack every single week and get 17 sacks.
Could be.
But anyway, hey Dom, thanks for coming on, man.
No, my pleasure, man. I appreciate it, dude.
Appreciate your expertise. Always welcome and really good perspective. So I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody who watched in the chat. I'll thank Nick Shine, even though I hate his guts. And I'm sure we'll all see each other and bump into each other tomorrow on Green Beans on Thursday, thick of it. So we'll see everybody then. Hang in there, guys. And, because Nick's not here, I'll say it. Stay proud, stay loud, and go Jets. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Go. Amazing. That's my boy. That's my boy.
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Oh, Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds, too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati.